Hello YouTube, Film Buff 06 here with a review of this extended DVD documentary film titled Everything or Nothing, the untold story of Bond, James Bond, or Arca Agent 007. This was directed by this guy called Stephen Riley, I think it was, and it was specially made last year, 2012, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the film franchise. The film opens with this little audio narration by the most current Bond, Daniel Craig, where he reminisces about how much he grew up with this character as a child, and how Britain's national identity would never have truly existed if Bond wasn't created, if Fleming hadn't created Bond. And then we go to the iconic barrel roll sequence, which features all 6 actors that have played Bond over the years, which of course are Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Pierce Brosnan, and of course Daniel Craig himself, and from there it becomes a brilliantly fascinating documentary where we actually get to see who Ian Fleming was, and the exploits that he got into as a naval intelligence officer, not only during World War II, but also during the Cold War as well. How he actually got to creating the books in the first place, the various attempts he made to pursue his dream of seeing his own novels turned into films, and how he eventually teamed up with film producers Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli to actually realise this dream on the big screen, which of course started in 1962 with Dr. No, which by now is 51 years ago. And also we actually get to see, we get to see the whole fiasco that happened between 69 and 71. When Connery left the role after initially left the role of Bond after making You Only Live Twice, and then Saltzman and Broccoli had to cast George Lazenby in the role, and George Lazenby, of course, was at the time an Australian model, and had admitted that he had never acted before, and how that turned out, and how it resulted in Saltzman and Broccoli begging Sean Connery to come back for Diamonds Are Forever, which, yeah. Also the falling out of Saltzman and Broccoli over creative differences, which of course was made clear when they were making Man with the Golden Gun, which to be honest isn't one of the greatest Bond films, to be quite honest. And how of course they were eventually reunited to make For Your Eyes Only, For Your Eyes Only. Prior to that, The Spy Who Loved Me, which kind of showed their strong professional friendship through creating those films. And also we get to see this side story where this guy called Kevin McClory, who used to be one of Ian Fleming's closest friends, started a series of lawsuits that raged for decades upon decades, and which is a real sort of a Shakespearean act of betrayal, where he obsessively claimed that the Bond character was his idea to begin with, not Fleming's, and how that kind of resulted in 1983 of the Battle of the Bonds. It was the Battle of the Bonds of the Bond movies, which of course happened between Never Say Never Again, which was the unofficial Bond movie that McClory produced or written, which starred Sean Connery, and also versus the official Bond film Octopussy, which of course won the box office during that year, and loads of other interesting stuff. We also get there are lots of anecdotes and interviews with all those involved in the success of the film, in the phenomenal success of the films, like some of Fleming, Saltzman and Broccoli's close relatives, and that includes Barbara Broccoli, who I think is one of the current producers at the moment. Also the other co-producer, and also her co-producer Michael G. Wilson. Also we get interviews with some of the Bonds themselves. I think four of them to be exact. We don't see a physical interview with Daniel Craig, but we do get physical interviews with Pierce Brosnan, Timothy Dalton, Roger Moore, and George Lazenby. But the point is, we never get to see much of a. But the only interviews we get with Sean Connery is just through archive footage, and to be honest, that's one of the very few nitpicks I have with this, is that Connery Connery declined an offer to be actually interviewed for this special, for this documentary. All we get is just archive footage interviews with him. And that's a shame. And also another nitpick I have with this, much to my chagrin, is this little interview with Mike Myers, in which he explains that the creation of Austin Powers was inspired by his love for James Bond, which, you know, okay. Apart from that, this was just a brilliantly fascinating documentary. I had a really good time watching this. I was fascinated by how Saltzman, Fleming, and Broccoli grouped together to make those films. And to be honest, if it wasn't for them, the Bond franchise would never have become the huge success story that it is today. This is pretty much a bit of a rambling, bit of a half-assed review, but I didn't want to spoil an awful amount of detail in the documentary if you haven't seen it already. If you are a fan of the Bond franchise, I do suggest that you check this out. I give my rating for Everything or Nothing, the untold story of James Bond 007, is going to be a full 10 out of 10. A full 10 out of 10. Quite easily. Now, feel free to comment below and let me know what you think of Everything or Nothing, if you've seen it, or if you like the Bond franchise, and if so, please tell me why. I've got a Bond title which I've added to my DVD collection, but I'm going to show you that later. But I'm going to show you that in a later video. And I'm just about three films away now from actually completing my Bond DVD collection. And once I've completed it, I will review all the films in chronological order, and that includes the Casino Royale spoof with David Niven, as well as Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery, and also James and Matthew from Who Addicts Reviews. If you're watching this, I hope you I'm just wondering if I could be part of the official team, you know, alongside you two and Owen Salmons. I've thought about this for pretty much a long time, and I've decided that of course I do not want my channel to be advertised, but I will like to be part of the official team, if you don't mind that. Plus, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and until my next video, whatever it may be, do take care everyone, and goodbye.